The number of bays they have is 15 bays. Goa has 11 bays. The number of check-in counters they have is 42, whereas we have 32. And still, if you go to see, they have handled 3.8 million in 1 year, and they can still handle much more. So, when you are telling me that Goa airport, the existing airport, cannot handle 6, 7 or 8 million is not realistic figure. I would say bring a proper professional people to study the statistics, how it can be improved. If nobody can give you, I will give you a person from my side. Coming back to the cargo, I have been in cargo for 15 years. I have done handling of the cargo, medicines, perishables, all that. But let me tell you, all the airports around the world do not have their warehouses very close to the airport. Provided you have a good surface transport, you can bring cargo, medicines, perishables, you name it. You have to have a proper transport system, and the roads will give you all this what is required. You can have, what is the distance between Mopa and Dabolim is about 80 kilometers. Do you have a proper roads yet? If anybody has any of the types of factories put in Mopa, prepare them the roads, proper highways, 6 lanes, and then you see.
But you know, Vito, may I interrupt you? That apparently is a precondition that the ICAO report talks about, that they need to have the highways to ensure connectivity if they would want to go ahead with it.
Yeah, but let me explain to you another thing. The youngsters, I have been talking about having an academy for the youngsters to build them up. Now you know, when we are talking about Mopa, if I am an airline operator, the distance between Mopa and Dabolim is about 80 kilometers. Now just imagine, which is about 10 minutes flying from Mopa to Dabolim airport. Imagine if I was operating, if I was a businessman and owner of the airline, I would not put staff of mine in 2 places and increase my cost. The revenue will, you know, the cost of the operating cost will be higher. Imagine I have to keep people in both the airports to look after the, you know, all the passengers at both airports at any given time. So how do I do that? So we have to look at the economics of how viable it will be to have an airline operating from at the Mopa airport as well as Dabolim airport at the same time. Because you just imagine, takeoff and landing is the most expensive one, short landing especially. So how do you expect us to move forward?
Let me start with your last things. I'm sorry, I'm taking your thing. And I am no expert like you, but I have seen things, that's why I'll tell you. If you have been to Luton's airport, who handles that Luton's airport?
Luton airport is private, for the private,
1 minute.
Private jets.
It is handled by Easy Air. Entire thing. All the
Luton is, sorry, I will like to correct you there.
All the counters are manned by Easy Air. Yeah. And they give service to other airlines as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So likewise, you need not have people operating and giving people at both the places. Okay. They can give services, so there is no additional wastage. Second thing, you are not taking into consideration that Dabolim is and will be a defense airport. You may say that it has got area, but more than 50% of the area is in the possession of, or is of the use of the defense personnel. So you cannot use that area, and whatever you may say, it will be impossible for us to get that area to civilians.
In your understanding, if you do say 5 million from Dabolim airport and another 5 million from Mopa airport, we make about 10 million passengers. In your business understanding over the next 5, 10, 15 years, how much do you see the passenger growth in Goa going to be?
See, there is always, you know, what you call, you forecast. And those forecasts have been given by that Louis Berger report. I think why you have not brought that report, I don't understand. Because that is the report which is being followed by the government today, of the erstwhile government or today government. Government is in process, so it goes on from one to another. It is that Louis Berger report which has given, you know, the figure to be around 8.9 to 10 millions. Yeah, so that figure if we take, and I think if we have to, see, finally we have to sustain ourselves also. We are not having any industrialization presently. We are not having other avenues, but tourism which our people take like fish to water, you know, that if we have to promote and sustain, then I think this is the need of the real.
Actually, Mr. Riker's got a good point, but I'm still coming back to the main contention out here, sir. Assuming we do about 8 million to 10 million passengers, you have a small airport like the airport in Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia, does about 12 million tourists, almost identical to the airport here that we have at Dabolim. So let's cut down on the traffic. Let's say from 12 million, they are doing 8 million tourists, okay, because they don't have the time. Do you still think it is necessary for us as a state to invest? I'm just trying to understand. I have no dog in the fight, sir, but I'm trying to understand purely from the numbers. Does it really matter, or can we not use that money or that kind of energy spent on that towards developing tourism in a different way? Wouldn't that have assisted?
See, another thing which we had presented, which I would like to focus today, we had given a report to the erstwhile government just before their elections were declared, that Goa should be, you know, taken ahead as a trading hub. And trading hub for what? Not only for the sake of Goa, but you can bring in and send goods from Goa, because we have airport, we have port, we have railway container station, where ro-ro facility can be used, so that, you know, it could be brought in through Goa, because Goan airport was, like he also very rightly said, it was not fully utilized. So we could bring in the flights, bring in the cargo, and from Goa it could be taken off to rest of the destinations in the maybe western segment, maybe southern segment. Why I am saying this is because these are the areas where Goans prefer to work. We do not want to work in some you know, heavy industrialization, or we do not want, that's a sad story, but it's a reality and we have to go by it. So what Goan needs, if we have to give it to them, then I feel that, you know, developing Goa as a trading hub would be more than beneficial. But for that we need additional space, we need the and for that this airport will not be of use. So what I would suggest is utilize Mopa extensively for cargo, utilize Mopa for takeoff. See, what is the I mean, if you have another alternate source of you know, avenue, why not?
Mr. Rao would like to say something.
The main issue here is whether both the airports for civilian requirements can operate and sustain. The report by the ICAO says, I mean, in very finely worded, it is not possible. I mean, it's not possible. If you look at the Indian conditions and see what has happened in Bangalore, what's happened in Hyderabad, the concessional agreement devised by the government enshrined proper return on investment for a private operator, and the JVC operator, unless there is a good return on investment, nobody is going to come and invest it. And Mopa also would be developed only by maybe on a 74-26, or maybe it may be even more also. So if that happens, unless there is a good return on investment, well, it's difficult for any private people to come and operate.
True.
Bangalore has got an airport, which is of course a HL airport in the heart of the city. People going to Chennai from the city, they perhaps take the road rather than going in the opposite direction towards the new airport. I mean,
people always, earlier when there was no proper approach road to the new airport, the problem was all the more. In 2008 when it got inaugurated, because the approach road was not properly synchronized, well, Cochin Airport has the investment done in 2000 was just about 230 or 250 crores. But then in 2008, when these people completed, they have spent 2,400 crores each, both Hyderabad and Bangalore. Now, unless, and that kind of investment is necessary because second parallel runway for an international airport is a must. If not today, Bangalore is today operating with only one runway, one parallel taxi track. But then they are also planning for this second runway, which is some time. Today they are doing about 12 million. Bangalore is doing 12 million. There are been public requirements, public airing the views that keep the other airport also alive and active for the small haul destination. But that was not possible because this concessionaire said if any revenue paying aircrafts go and land there, that will reduce the revenue. Even with the revenue, only these private people, these airports, they have got special passenger service fees, then you have got UDFs and all. The public is paying. So the question is, as I said, while I say, I take the point of what Mr. Gomes said that airlines, we have to see their comforts, their convenience of operating at two places. They also said when we asked them whether you can operate both the places, they would certainly say no. And it's a matter of common sense. It's a matter of common sense. So, only thing is if we want to continue at Dabolim, unless the constraints presently what we feel as imposed by the Navy gets somewhat reduced, if not totally eliminated, it is difficult. No, we have tried.
We need to work out on a plan to make sure that we can
I'd
do
like
something.
to bring Edgar into this discussion right now. He's been sitting very quietly as always. Edgar, what would you like to say, Mr. Ribeiro, on this entire issue? Because I'll tell you why I come to you. You've been a part of the regional plan, and you know, when a new airport comes up, demographic changes and basic requirements of you know, electricity, water and all that become very integral to the airport because they end up using and utilizing these kind of services. Now today, in the current format, what is your opinion if Dabolim and Mopa had to coexist with the resources point of view?
When we were asked to prepare the regional plan, the condition I made was, of course, they should be district plans, which was agreed then turned back on. And we asked the then Chief Minister, is Mopa on or off? He gave me the report, which indicated the feasibility report. Then I discussed with my friend Robi Lal. He says he also was a member of that committee. The feasibility of Mopa was on. When I still asked him, is it on or no? He said yes. Because I did tell him if we do a regional plan, it's a very major focus. If you a lot of the developments of small regions like Goa develop around such major uses like airports. Then we asked him about Dabolim. He says that will also be on, but I'll put you in touch with the Rear Admiral. And when I had a discussion with the then Rear Admiral, he says, whatever happens, Dabolim stays as a military airport, it's beyond him. But the maximum amount of land we can give is about 7 hectares. That's it, and that's final. And we are also allowing night flying. So within it, let Dabolim serve civilian purposes the best they can, with military being the main users of that land. And the question arose, well, did Goa need 2 airports? From the requirements indicated by the state government, we did show the 2 airports. The present government seems to have endorsed both the airports. Now let me put my other hat on, which was the All India hat. For years, planners, what we do, we try and prepare land uses by looking at the conflicts, convergence points of all the other users of land, and we doodle with maps, and we try and find the best way out. It will never be a perfect where you work, where you live, and where you have recreation and transport. it will always be a set of compromises.